The technique known as factor rating is extremely versatile, but it's important to note how to interpret a factor rating study. Let's look. Global Freightways must determine the new location for an aircraft maintenance center. Global has identified five airports as candidates, so factor rating always begins with candidates. Okay, Tokyo, Singapore, California, London, and New York. Global considers two issues important when choosing one of these locations: the airport's centrality within the global network and its costs. Now wait a minute, this is a different issue. These are the candidates, these are the factors, which we will, yes, rank the candidates. Higher scores indicate more favorable conditions at each airport. So we're given some data here. Okay, right, so the basics of a factor rating study, you always start out with candidates. Here it's 5 airport, got that. Okay, then you identify a set of factors that you believe each one of them is important to picking a certain candidate as a winner, if you will. In this case, there was only 2 factors: the degree of centrality of the airport and the local operating costs at the airport. Now notice each one of the candidates, what is this that we're looking at, has been scored on each one of those factors, and we're informed that the higher scores mean more favorable conditions. You say, yeah, okay, I got that. Now, what are the questions? Which of the 5 airports is apparently the most favorable in terms of the cost of operating the aircraft maintenance center? Now, higher scores, we were told, indicate more favorable conditions. This simply means look for highest score under cost. That's it. Okay. Highest score under, just make sure I'm looking at the right factor, cost. Here it is. BUF. That's the answer. The Buffalo Niagara International Airport in New York would be the best one in terms of local operating cost. It had the higher score. Notice that means it has lower costs, but never mind. We're talking about favorable conditions. That's it. That's all you have to do. Okay. Now, how does Singapore's Changi Airport, SIN, compare with the remainder of the group? All right. Higher scores are more favorable, but to answer that question, they're asking you to zoom in on a column and to compare it to the rest of the group. One of the things that I notice is that Singapore's Changi Airport does have the highest score here for centrality within the global network. So I can put words to that. It appears that SIN is the most central within the global network, so that would be a good place for a maintenance base. But I'm looking at the second row here. I want to make a comment on interpreting the data, but it doesn't have the lowest operating cost because it doesn't have the highest score here. It has a score of 6. Okay, so it essentially, Buffalo was the best, BUF. London's Gatwick Airport was right behind with 8.5. Then comes Singapore's Changi Airport. So, but it ranks 3rd in operating costs. There. That is a reasonable interpretation of the data.